Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Cray, and I'm gonna just go ahead and jump right into things real quick. I just wanted to make this video in particular for my noobs out there. And speaking as a fellow noob myself, I just feel like there's a lot of advanced aiming guides out there for people that still don't know what in the world that they're doing. So I figured, why not come together and why not make this kind of aim training guide for noobs, you know, myself included, just to help out, you know, my fellow noobs and make sure that we can all improve together and go from noobs to novices at least. I mean, come on now. So I came up with these 5 tips. I believe there's 5 tips. I can't count. We'll find out by the end of the video. But I came up with these tips right here to be able to help you improve your aim so you can start clapping some cheeks here in Apex Legends. So my fellow noobs, dial in and let's get right to it. So noobs, tip number 1. Learning how to hip fire into an ADS shot. Let me show you a visual example here. Noobs, this is probably the most important aiming tip in the game. Why? Because it helps so much with your tracking. When you go from a hip fire to an ADS, this allows you to be able to keep your reticule on your enemy or on your opponent, especially if you're playing on controller, because it allows that aim assist to kick in. Now, if I'm just sitting here trying to ADS a moving target the entire time, those guys are just going to be moving everywhere, and there's no way I'm going to be able to track and keep up with them. Doesn't matter if I'm on keyboard and mouse, unless I'm like Asu or somebody like that, but there's just no way I'm going to be able to stay with them just trying to fire like this, right? The hip fire to ADS kind of puts you in a position to where no matter what, you're going to have bullets connecting on them. And once you develop a sort of game sense and you know, okay, either my ADS is hitting more or my hip fire is hitting more in this particular fight, you know which one to kind of stick with. Like if I'm fighting somebody, for example, if my hip fire is just not getting it done, then I'm going to automatically switch gears and drop into the ADS. And when I find out the ADS is getting it done, I'm gonna finish him with that ADS. Again, it's one of those things that you develop over time. It becomes a bit more of muscle memory, but learning how to hit fire into those ADS shots will be incredibly important for lasering and melting people. If you find yourself getting melted, like crazy melted, when you're in somebody's face, I guarantee you, if you were looking from your opponent's point of view, your opponent was sitting here hitting you up with some hip fire to ADS, okay? Tip number 2, this is kind of piggybacking off of tip number 1, is learning how to hip fire into an ADS, into a hip fire, okay? So this is one step up. I talked initially about learning how to hip fire into an ADS, right? And, you know, that works. But if you're fighting a scrappy mobile opponent, if you're fighting a Wraith or a Pathfinder and this person knows what they're doing, you're going to have to learn how to take that, what's the word? You're going to have to take your game up to the next level. And to be able to do that, you're going to have to be able to go from a hip fire to an ADS to hip fire. So, show you by example. Hold on. Go to sleep, boy. All right, you're going to have to be able to go to hip fire. You know, and it's as simple as that, you know. And once you become proficient in being able to go back and forth from an ADS to a hip fire ADS, then a little curveball you can start throwing in there is a nice little strafe, okay? So, I know I hit no bullets there, right? But if you're dealing with an actual moving target, a lot of those shots are going to hit, and especially when you track their pattern. You know, if that person's moving left and you're strafing left with them, and you're just sitting there hip fire into the ADS, you crouch with them, you know, you do all that stuff, you're going to melt somebody. I can promise you that. You're going to absolutely melt somebody. And again, this is important for just tracking enemies in close range and even kind of somewhat mid-range too. If I'm sitting here and I'm kind of strafing with them as I'm going from a hip fire to ADS, because people don't realize one thing with Apex Legends is you can hit fire from a mile away. All right, bear with me, it's early, it's freaking in the morning, my aim is absolutely trash right now, but you guys get the point. I can literally hip fire somebody from this far away and not think twice about it. Like, Apex is one of the only games that you can do that in, and guys, just do not underestimate the power of the hip fire here in Apex Legends. Okay guys, tip number 3 here. Things are going to start to get slightly a little bit more advanced, or are going to slightly begin to take more time. Okay, so my first 2 tips: learning how to hip fire into an ADS, learning how to go from hip fire to the ADS back to the hip fire. Those things you can begin to get used to just simply hopping in the training range 10 to 20 minutes a day before you get, you know, this party started and before you start clapping cheeks in Apex Legends. This is where things begin to, you know, start to take a little bit more time again, and we'll need more muscle memory per se. Tip number 3. This is actually more so of a 3-pronged approach. Okay, first thing, you're going to want to learn the recoil pattern of every weapon in the game, just being totally honest. So right now I have the R301 and the Spitfire. Okay, just hip firing. I can see that R301 wants to start to tug up vertically slightly and then back down still in a vertical line of fire. So once you learn the recoil pattern of a gun, it's a lot easier to stabilize that recoil pattern and keep things more centralized around one focal point. You know, if I'm looking at the Spitfire, the Spitfire kind of has more of a zigzaggy recoil pattern, you know? So again, I'm going to want to counteract those zigzaggy movements as I'm shooting the Spitfire, okay? So you want to learn those recoil patterns of each gun. I mean, find a blank wall in the training range and shoot that sucker in the wall and just really observe and really learn. And then after a while, you're going to want to just try to center that shot and try to shoot one of those open holes. Like for example, you're going to want to find one of these holes right here, just hip fire. You're just going to want to try to stabilize it over that hole. Again, it won't be perfect. It won't be perfect for a very long time. I can promise you that. But over time, it will get better. Day by day, it will get better if you're doing this. I guarantee you. Part 2 of this 3rd tip. You want to learn how to steady your aim without movement. Okay, so like earlier how I was talking to hip fire in the ADS, talking about strafing a little bit. You want to learn how to steady that aim without any strafing first. So I want to be able, of course Bloom is going to play into effect, but I want to be able to just keep that aim steady on my target without moving my body at all initially. If I can begin to get recoil patterns down without moving my body at all, oh my gosh, it's only going to become that much better when I learn how to incorporate that movement. And of course, that is the 3rd part of this 3rd tip, is learning how to control the recoil pattern while incorporating movement. I think the best gun to learn this with is simply the R99, because this thing gets so crazy. Okay, it's so crazy if you have no idea how to control the recoil pattern. So I'm gonna just be right here. I'm gonna shoot the first clip without movement at all. Okay, aim a little raggedy. All right, you know, it is what it is. Now if I incorporate movement, is my aim still raggedy? Yes, it is. But the moral of the story is when you incorporate movement, it's so much easier to land those shots because you can compensate your body movement for the recoil, or the recoil can be compensated. Whatever, you guys understand what I'm saying here. It's a lot easier. If I'm moving, it's 100% easier for me to hit my shots rather than, yeah, you know. Okay, I was a little bit dramatic there trying to prove my point, but I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. Okay, my fellow noobs, tip number 4 here. Again, we're going to continue to get just a little bit more advanced. Tip number 4. You want to understand how attachments can help recoil and aim drift. Okay, now I'm gonna just show you an example using the R99 without any attachments beside the extended mag, just so I can dump more clips or dump more bullets into people. Okay, so no crazy aim training, nothing like that. Not even thumbs are off the analog stick right there. Okay, thumbs are completely off the analog stick. That's without any attachments. Okay, now let's go ahead and throw attachments on. So I went ahead and threw on a purple barrel stabilizer and a purple standard stock, okay? Again, no thumbs on the analog sticks. And you can see the difference. My aim drift to the left or right is a lot more stabilized from that standard stock. And also my vertical recoil pattern is a lot more centered from that barrel stabilizer. Always remember when you pick up an attachment, and always remember what that attachment does. And in doing so, you'll know, like I'll know when I pick up a barrel stabilizer, I don't have to pull down on the R99 when I shoot as heavily as I would if I did not have a barrel stabilizer. You know, I wouldn't have to focus on stabilizing my aim drift as much as I would if I did not have a standard stock equipped. Pay attention to those things, because those things will help you in gunfights, I guarantee you. Because when things get hectic and I look over and I see, okay, I got a stock and a stabilizer equipped on my R99, I know I can get in this guy's face, and I know I can do all that crazy stuff and just shred somebody, you know what I mean? Versus if I didn't, I would play the fight a little bit smarter, and I would kind of, you know, keep my distance a little bit, take a couple shots, get out of there, heal up, do whatever I need to do in order to be successful in that fight. Definitely pay attention to those attachments that you have equipped on each gun. And I mean, they vary from gun to gun, of course, but definitely pay attention, because they can make or break your fight, and they can bring you L's or bring you dubs. Okay, my noobs, tip number 5. Knowing when to single shot. Okay, now if you're a noob in this game, I mean a noob, like just started playing season 4 or something like that, you might not even realize that guns have different fire rates. You might not even realize this, that if you press left on your D-pad or whatever button you have it assigned for on your keyboard and mouse, that you can sit here and switch to fire mode. Knowing when to single shot is one of the most important things in this game, because it makes or breaks some guns. And one gun in particular, this baby right here, the Hemlock. Okay, the Hemlock can be wonderful. It can be a viable alternative to a G7 Scout if you use this thing with a single shot. Okay, now if I see somebody, I'm hiding behind my rock trying to pick off my kill. I just seen the third, or I am the third party going down. I just seen this squad fight, and they just, you know, for Valhalla clapped each other, whatever. And I want to clean them up. I have no throwables. Crap, I want to clean them dudes up. Okay, I just threw my ultimate and I absolutely threw it. Oh man, I threw it in the wrong direction. Frick, what am I going to want to do? All right, maybe I should have, what? Okay, yeah, oh boom, ultimate's over. Dang it, did not hit. And I see this guy just sitting there. He's just standing there just taunting me. He knows I'm here. And I'm sitting here, I'm trying to hit him, right? And I got it burst fire. Okay, I wasn't supposed to do that. But I'm trying to burst fire. Oh my gosh. I can't hit him with the burst fire. What do I do? Man, you turn that baby to that single shot. Now all of a sudden, you can see his big old head. And you can just go ahead and you can just rock his big old head. Now, I will say single fire tracking is so much easier when somebody's actually moving in a sense. So him just standing still here for me. Yeah, whatever. Single shotting, again, is so viable just because it allows you to just pull that trigger one bullet at a time, and it allows you to aimlessly track people when they're trying to run away, you know, similar to what you would do with a G7 Scout. Bullet drop off isn't that bad. And I mean, you have a big old fat mag. Like, yo, if I'm rocking a Hemlock and I'm rocking a level 3 extended mag, I got 30 rounds. I can just sit here and shoot at this dude all day. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I hit all the shots or not. I mean, there intentionally I was not trying to hit all my shots. But still, you know, you just have bullets that just rain upon people. People freak out, you know, they forget the loot stuff, they run, or you get a nice knock from that third party. And you guys are in there thumbing, and literally all you have to do is push the fight because they're running, pull out that R99, hit them with a little slider, and finish the squad. You know, it's as easy as that. Well, you know, maybe not an actual game, but I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Knowing when a single shot can, gosh, it can be a game changer. This is something I didn't figure out for a long time, and as I started playing a little bit more here at the end of season 3 and rolling into season 4, I realized single shots can just do so much. And if you're looking, you know, if you go from that noob to novice level, and you know, you're starting to creep into that novice to intermediate level, you know, you're trying to hit those 2k damage fights and stuff like that, or not fights, but those 2k damage games and whatnot. You know, those single fire shots from afar are going to help you collect a lot of damage. I'm telling you, they're going to help you collect a lot. So just definitely keep that in mind. And you know what, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a little bonus tip here. Okay, this is a bonus tip. I mean, it's pretty obvious, it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty blatant. Yeah, I know. But I'm gonna just drop a little bonus tip, and that is, you're gonna wanna practice nonstop in the training range. You know, now that I'm starting to get kind of serious with Apex Legends and I'm trying to make content for it and just get better overall, you know, I'm in the training range 20 to 30 minutes before my first game and 20 to 30 minutes after my last game. You know, just sitting here freestyling, running around, putting myself in game situations. You know, I'll go ahead and I'll activate the bots just so the bots move around, just to give me some like real-time thing. You know what I mean? Just to give me some real-time game sense. And I'm running around here sliding and I'm trying to clap these dudes. You know, I'll kind of do some slide shots right here. I'll slide by and I'll try to get some of those going on. You know, I just sitting here freestyle. I find recoil patterns. I find what things work the best for me. And while doing this, you know, I try to make sure my guns have no attachments. If I can control them with no attachments, I should have no problem controlling them with attachments. You know, it should be pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So I literally sit here, I freestyle, I run around, I shoot, I try to long distance with single shot hemlock or with a wingman, you know, and I just try to pick off the targets, and I literally practice. You know, I literally sit here and I practice. You know, am I perfect? Heck no. Will I say I have the best aim in the game? Heck no. I'm probably not even in the top 50th percentile for aim in this game, at least not at this point in time, but I will get there because I'm grinding, just like all you noobs should be doing if you guys don't want to be noobs anymore. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is all that I have for you here in today's video. If you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful to you in any way, just do me a favor, drop a like. You know, comment down below if this video was helpful and if it wasn't, or if you have more tips that can help out the noob community, because let's be honest, as noobs, we need them. We seriously need them. So again, if you have anything, drop it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, enjoy all my content, hit that subscribe button. And I appreciate you all. I love you all. And let's keep pushing forward together. Until next time, your boy Cray is out. Peace.